Hey everyone, it's Nathas. Today I'm going to be opening some SolForge Fusion Kickstarter booster kits. So I just got back from Gen Con last night at around 2 a.m. And I actually wanted to open up some booster kits. So I actually brought all 8 of these with me to Gen Con just in case we did a sealed event. While we all hang out a bunch every day when we were at the event, we didn't actually play any SolForge outside of the convention hall, at least in the groups that I was hanging with. So I thought it would be fun to open up these and see kind of what was in them and see if there was anything cool that we would have opened during sealed. So I'm not going to really go too much into the contents of the decks and like analysis, just more of getting them open, seeing if there's anything cool. I mean, as I'm doing it, we'll talk a little bit about Gen Con and Worlds. So I'm going to open these up today. But yeah, so Gen Con was actually a really fun event. We had 17 people show up to Worlds. We had 43 people show up to both the storyline and the sealed event. So this playmat was an exclusive to the convention. So it wasn't just Gen Con, but some of the other conventions that have occurred in 2023. So I really like it. This is their Yeti playmat. So it's got a lot of really cool Yeti artwork, and I'm hoping this means there'll be some nice Yeti focus moving on in set 3, because Yeti is an archetype that I've really wanted to kind of explore a little bit more. So yeah, this is one of the new playmats. This is what I'm going to be using on my desk for the next little bit, which means whenever I record videos, this is the playmat I will be using. But yeah, so like I said, there were 43 people at both the storyline and the sealed events, which were both like huge compared to where we've seen events over the last few months at the Ultimate Championships, as well as some of the local events. So I know Gen Con obviously has a pretty large population, but it was still really great to see there were that many people at these events, just because that's something that I think a lot of people have been looking forward to seeing more people at events. So that's a great sign for the game. I'm hoping that things keep up in terms of that attendance. But overall, all the events were great. So let me open this set, and then I'll go a little bit into some of the information, or this pack, and go into a little bit more information about the set or the event. So we got a charge plated tactician, combat justicar, energy surge, force field, recycling tinker, spirit force sentinel, stout sentry. We'll take profit, war machine, warmonger mod, and we got a steel rosetta with enhance, inspire, and repurpose. So I guess starting with the World's Tournament, it was awesome that there was a lot of swag that they gave out just on entry for everybody. So even depending on how you did, no matter what, you still walked away with some really cool stuff. So there were some really cool minions that they gave out to everybody, and they actually had foil edges. And after I open a couple packs, I'll go through and actually show you what those minions look like. But they're actually my favorite minions that they've come out with so far in terms of the art. So we'll go into this pack and then I'll continue that. So we got Chant of Umbruck, Everflame Phoenix, Flamebreak Invoker, Primordial Slam, Pyromanic Worm, Scorchmane Dragon, Stampeding Mongosaur, Summoning Breaker, Windspark Elemental, Yeti Warcaller, and we got a Korok with Whirlwind, Demolish, and Flame Strike. But yeah, so those minions, they're like kind of cartoony. The art's pretty cute on all of them, but they have foil edges and they look really nice. So everybody who entered got 5 of each minion. So you could basically, if you have a full playset of minions out, you could have all of your world's minions, which I think is a really cool thing that they did. So we've got a Camouflage Bear, Combat Dechaosaur, we got a Forge Seal, Lysian Rain, a Refreshing Ranger, Relentless Wanderers, Roaring Polymorpher, Shardplate Delver, Toxic Spores, Pterodon Mauler, and an Oros. We got Shapeshift, Bark Skin, and Growth Aura. But yeah, so those minions everybody got when we entered. Everyone also got these really cool life dials, which I think I have it in here in this room. If I do, I'll show it now. If not, I could always show it next time I go on stream. But they're these really cool aluminum dials that have the different factions on them. So everyone got 2 dials of the faction that they were playing for their Forgeborn. But then those are magnetic, so you could actually trade them. So me and Namrog actually traded one of my Necrom for one of his Utera, so we both have a green-purple faction life counter. So we're starting with a Devouring Skeleton, an Epidemic, Forsaken Patron, Grave Pact, Necrotic Demon, Portal Shade, Raging Shambler, Spirit Leash, Spite Hydra, Stout Stitcher, with a Nyx that has Army of the Damned, Soul Rip, and Dark Summoning. So everybody who entered also got one of those aluminum life counters, which is really, really cool. And like I said, I will try to find it at the end of this, but I don't think I actually see it in this room, so it must be in the other room. Yeah, so everybody got that just for entering, which was really cool. And then there was a lot of really great decks and a lot of really great players at the event. Um, so it was a lot of fun. It was probably one of the most, well, you would hope that Worlds would be one of the most competitive, but it was probably the most competitive event that I've been a part of so far. Um, so it was really cool to see everyone bringing their best decks, everything that's been silver plus, because Nate actually brought a gold deck, or sorry, Weekend brought a gold deck. So he had a first round bye, and then everybody else had silver decks. But yeah, everyone was playing top tier decks. It was just a lot of fun, really competitive. So we got a bolstering Justicar, Camouflage Sentry, Combat Technician, Electronet, Energy Surge, Epoch Soldier, Metamind Overseer, Steel Eye Researcher, Taunting Reinforcements, War Machine, with an Iron Beard with Shields Up, Reinforce, and Intimidate. But yeah, so it was fun. Everybody who was in top 8 ended up getting 2 of each foil minion, which was really, really cool. So it's the same art as the other world's minions, but they're foil on the front and the back. So let's get into a Combat Warhound, Flamejet, Fleet Stormling, Tire Song, Reckless Razortooth, Staff of Varus, Steadfast Collar, Stone Skin, Undeady, Volcanic Breaker, and a Sunder with Ice Armor, Stimbolt, and Summon the Swarm. Oop. Just dropped a card on the floor, but I luckily, or almost on the floor, but I caught it on my lap, which was great. But yeah, so everybody who was in the top 8 all got 2 of each foil minion, which was really cool. Everybody in the top 4 got a random foil Sunder deck, which is really cool, and I'll show that at the end of the stream. And then the top 2 both got Reveler playmats. So what I'll do, probably not in this stream because it's in the other room as well, I'll probably post a video that has all of the prizing from Worlds, because that was really, really fun and a really cool event, and there was a lot of really cool prizes. So we got an Arrogant Rex, Arrogant Wartusk, Experienced Steelplate, Mystical Slayer, Mystical Tangle Sprout, Savage Oath, Stout Raptor, Summoning Council, Toxic Spores, Venerable Packmaster, with an Oros with Darkforge Drain, Bark Skin, and Shapeshift. Doesn't want to focus. There we go. But yeah, so Worlds was a really great event that happened on Thursday. On Friday, we had a sealed tournament, which is also really cool. I'll get into that in a second. So we're starting with an Abyssal Stitcher, Cutthroat Geist, Darkheart Sorcerer, Dreadbolt, Forsaken Spirit, Halazith, Necrotic Drake, Portal Shade, Sigmund Fraud, Derek's Embrace, with a Nyx, with a Dark Summoning, Soul Rip, and Raising Dead. There we go. Yeah, the camera's having a little bit of trouble focusing. I wonder if it's the coloring on the playmat compared to the coloring on the card. So I guess we'll see over time if that's the case. But yeah, so the sealed event was great. So everybody who joined, there was I think 43 people is what the final results said, or the final standings, which was a huge event. I know it's not as big as Fuse Fest, but it was great to see that many people entering an event. That we all opened a booster kit of Battle for White Fang Pass, and then basically picked the best 2 decks out of them, and that's what we played. And then we were playing for these really cool sketch decks, which I'll show one of those as well at the end of this. But those decks were really cool, and then depending on how many wins you got, that's how many sketch decks you got at the end. So that was a really cool event. It was really nice to see a lot of people who I personally either hadn't met on the Discord or hadn't met in general playing the game. So it was really nice to see a lot of new players playing, in addition to a lot of the more seasoned players who were there for Worlds. So you got a Charge Plated Sentry, Scypian Experimentation, Electronet, Gauntlets of Solgrim, Palladium Hintermind, Palladium Simulacrum, Recycling Drone, Taunting Inventor, Voltaic Prophet, War Machine, with an Iron Beard that's got Intimidate, Shields Up, and Knockback. But yeah, so there was a lot of really cool decks, and actually Hellkite ended up opening a Darkheart Rumblespark deck, which was incredible, and it ended up going undefeated, which was really awesome to see. Alright, so we got an Arrogant Bartok, Druid's Chant, Asperian Steel Plate, Glowhive Siren, Mystical Batterhide, Shifting Ravager, Spring Dryad, Toxic Spores, Transcendent Biologist, Vine Lash, with a Nova with Nova's Touch, Nova's Wrath, and Nova's Might. But yeah, and then we had the storyline event on Saturday, which was really, really cool. I'll probably go into, when I show the prizing, go a little bit more into the details. But we had basically a world modifying card every round that the first time different players played certain cards, it would cause an effect to occur. And it really led into the spoiler of both a Exalted Sunder and an Exalted Oros, which kind of goes into with the story. It goes in like there's a lot of really cool stuff that happened in that event. So I think that's a whole separate discussion that I'll go into outside of this. But there's definitely some information on the Stoneblade, the website with the lore, but there was some really, really cool stuff that came out of that event. So we got a Firefist Uranti, Hibernating Wartusk, Lightning Brand, Piercing Master, Reckless Colossus. Oh, that's weird. That's interesting that some of the level 3 cards were in the middle. Stuff's all out of order in this one. We got a Scorchmane Dragon, Summoning Lasher, Undeady, Uranti Heartseeker, Windspark Elemental, with a Korok. Korok's got Lightning Speed level 2, Demolish level 3, and Whirlwind level 4. Alright. But yeah, so the storyline event was really cool. It actually might have been my favorite event of the weekend, just for the sake of all the cool stuff that occurred during that event. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really hope to take part in a storyline event soon. This is starting with a Cutthroat Creeper, Dreadbolt, Vizian Siphon, Grave Pact, Hematophagic Shambler, Necrovive, Om Nom Nom, Stout Spirit, Venerable Geist, Zithian Dreadmaw, with a Cersei that's got Soul Siphon, Death Touch, and Life Drain. This deck was looking like it was going to be a winner to start. It's still a good deck, but there was a couple vanilla creatures at the end that kind of make that one not as good. But yeah, so far nothing crazy hits in terms of if we would have played sealed. But there are some really cool decks so far. But yeah, so overall, Gen Con was really fun. There was a lot of really cool events, and it was really nice to meet everybody. Because that was like the biggest part for me, was just kind of getting to meet the people that I've been playing with online for so long. It was nice to be able to put kind of faces to voices. But yeah, so starting with an Adaptive Drone, Arrogant Inventor, Digitize, Drix, Epoch Hawk, Metasite, Sonic Burst, Steel Eye Researcher, Stout Assassin, Venerable Techno Hulk, with an Iron Beer that's got Intimidate, Shields Up, and Reinforce. But yeah, so meeting everybody was definitely the highlight of Gen Con for me. And then obviously it was really fun to also partake in Worlds and really get to play against the people who I've been playing against online so much in the competitive sense as well. Just getting to play those games in person was really cool. So then we got an Abetting Adept, Burnout, Chaining Glider, Disintegrate, Lightning Tamer, Tire Song, Staff of Eris, Stone Skin, Stormcaller, Thunder Stomper, with a Korok that has Flame Strike, Whirlwind, and Demolish. That was not a bad 5-spiller. Alright, so we're starting here with a Feral Instinct, Leyline Vermin, Mystical Bear, Shifting Ranger, Summoning Council, Taliesin, My Guardian, Toxic Spores, Venerable Basher, Venerable Decayosaur, and an Oros with Darkforge Drain, Barkskin, and Shapeshift. But yeah, so after Gen Con though, like I ended up traveling yesterday, and I think I had about 5 or 6 hours of delays, so I'm pretty exhausted. I didn't get home till very, very late last night, but obviously I'm going to come back and immediately think about SolForge. But yeah, so let's go into a Cutthroat Spirit, Dark Heart Sorcerer, Epidemic, Gloom Reaper Hag, Luria, Nom Nom, Ossuary Mech, Spirit Leash, Scythian Dreadmaw, Zimus, with a Nyx that's got Raising Dead, Army of the Damned, and Dark Summoning. Alright. But like I said, I'll be doing a video that kind of goes a little bit more into the prizing, and I'll talk a little bit more about some of the specifics of the different events that were not worlds during that video. Just because I think all of those kind of deserve their own set of dedicated time to kind of talk about. But I also know that throughout this week, I will be appearing on a few of the different podcasts and YouTube channels and so on, just to kind of talk about the Worlds event and the weekend. So I think that'll be really fun. So I don't want to give too much away now as well, just because obviously I want to kind of save a lot of that discussion for the different groups that I'll be speaking with. We've got Adaptive Tinker, Camouflage Warden, Metasite, Nanoswarm, Palladium Hintermind, Spiritforge Sentinel, CLI Researcher, Stout Sentry, Venerable Prophet, Warmonger Mod, with a Steel Rosetta with Inspire, Enhance, and Repurpose. Actually, I don't think there have been any Betrayers so far, which is interesting. Maybe that means we'll get one in this pack, because I said something out loud. Alright, we got an Arrogant Master, Arrogant Spell Knight, Combat Rex, Flame Jet, Lightning Spark. This is another one that's kind of in order, out of order. That's interesting. Lightning Tamer, Piercing Glider, Scorchmane Dragon, Stone Skin, Voltaic Breaker, or Volcanic Breaker, sorry. And we've got a Sunder with Stimbolt, Summon the Swarm, and Ice Armor. Alright. We've got an Arrogant Matriarch, Feral Instinct, Ferocious Bartok. We've got a Glowhive Siren, Lysian Rain, Nap Time, Regenerating Hunter, Relentless Wanderers, Sated Sentry, which is a Betrayer, although it's not one that I love that much. Although Breakthrough with additional 15 attack is not bad at level 3. But the health is pretty low, even though it's got 8 armor. Sorry. Sated Sentry, Sharpblade Delver, and an Oros with Growth Aura, Dark Forge Drain, and Shapeshift. Alright. We've got an Abyssal Demon, Bone Scythe Reaver, Cutthroat Slime, Dreadbolt, Ghoulish Reaper, Indomitable Fiend, Necrotic Apparition, Raging Creeper, Spirit Reaver, Vampiric Geist, with a Cersei, with Army Commander, Life Drain, and Death Touch. Alright, so this is our 6th out of 8 that we're opening today. So, yeah, so far there hasn't been anything super competitive, although there have been a couple Dark Heart decks, which I know right now in the meta, that's something that everybody's looking for. But there's nothing that I've looked at and been like, oh man, I want to brew around this yet. Which I've been finding more and more often. That's kind of been the case just because I open so much. I think my general standards are a little bit higher just because I keep opening stuff. So it's like I'm always looking for the perfect deck at this point. Alright, so we got an Aegis Wings, Aetherforge Oracle, Bright Steel Sentinel, Charge Plated Reinforcements, Energy Prison, Forge Plate Yeti, Gauntlets of Solgrim, Heavy Artillery, Palladium Hintermind, Venerable Assassin, and an Ironbeard with Intimidate, Shields Up, and Reinforce. Alright, so we've got a Conflagrate, Everflame Aura, Firefist Uranti, Hibernating Worm, Ice Storm, Lightning Spark, Piercing Stonefist, Rhymehorn Charger, Steadfast Colossus, Venerable Warstoker, with a Sunder that's got Stimbolt, Summon the Swarm, and Ice Armor. Alright, we've got an Everflow Eidolon, Glowhive Siren, Leyline Vermin, Mystical Decayosaur, Mystical Tangle Sprout, Nap Time, Refreshing Raptor. Oh, another Betrayer Sentinel. Shifting Sentinel, Summoning Council, Vine Lash, and a Nova with Nova's Touch, Nova's Wrath, and Nova's Might. This one's not as good as my other Betrayer Sentinel deck, but it's still fun to get another one of these. Alright, so we got Camouflage Dreamin', Cersei's Call, Combat Geist, Darkheart Sorcerer, Dr. Frankenbaum, Howl of Zith, Infernal Ritual, Portal Shade, Raging Spectre, Xeris Will, with a Nyx that has Soul Rip, Army of the Damned, and Raising Dead. Alright, we got 2 boosters left. Alright, so we're starting with an Aegis Wings, Aetherforge Oracle, Bolstering Scrapper, Combat Reinforcements, Energy Prison, Forge Plate Yeti, Venerable Sculptor, Venerable Warden, War Machine, Warmonger Mod, with a Steel Rosetta with Repurpose, Tinker, and Inspire. Also, this weekend I opened some set 2, and it didn't have that little spot that you could rip open like in Kickstarter, and I forgot what it was like to have to struggle to open from the top. So I hope they kind of go back to having those little like seams that you could rip open in some way for set 3. You got a Firestorm, Flamebreak Invoker, Lightning Tamer, Primordial Slam, Pyre Song, Raging Sentinel, Raging Warhound, Scorchmane Dragon, Thunder Stomper, Yeti Warcaller, with a Korok that has Whirlwind, Lightning Speed, and Demolish. Raging Sentinel is actually one of my favorite Sentinels, because if you could play it off Forge, that could really push a lot of damage, so I always like seeing Raging Sentinel. Alright, so you got a Camouflage Basher, Dendrify, Druid's Chant, Grove Mother, Leyline Vermin, Mystical Packmaster, Mystical Tangle Sprout, Stampeding Raptor, Stouthide Stegodon, Terra Charger, with an Oros that has Growth Aura, Dark Forge Drain, and Barkskin. Alright. Got an Arrogant Drake, Light Witch, Camouflage Apparition, Ghoulish Demon, Infernal Ritual, Spirit Leash, Steadfast Fiend, Vampiric Walker, Xeris Will, Zimus, with a Cersei that's got Soul Siphon, Army Commander, and Death Touch. Alright, so we're going to our last booster here. Let's see if we saved the best for last, or if we've already opened our most exciting stuff. Alright, so we've got an Aegis Wings, or Aegis Knight, sorry, Scipion Augmentation, Metamind Overseer, Nanoswarm, Palladium Pulse Mage, Steadfast Scavenger, CLI Researcher, Suppressing War Charger, Tech Upgrade, Venerable Sentry, with a Steel Rosetta with Tinker, Inspire, and Repurpose. I do really like this Yeti mat, the more that I look at it. Alright, so you got a Combat Ice Crusher, Conflagrate, Disintegrate, Fit of Rage, Flamebreak Invoker, Lightning Tamer, Sparking Colossus, Summoning Spell Knight, Uranti Elementalist, Volcanic Giant, with a Korok with Flame Strike, Lightning Speed, and Demolish. I am a little sad that Uranti Elementalist didn't make it onto this playmat. That's one of my favorite. Yeti style creatures. Alright, so we got an Armored Polymorpher, Combat Keeper, Experience Steelplate, Forge Seal, Grove Mother, Kindred Slayer, Shardplate Delver, Savage Oath, Shifting Reveler, Toxic Spores, and Nova with Nova's Wrath, Nova's Might, and Nova's Dominion. Alright, so here's our last deck from the stuff that we brought to Gen Con. So this went all the way from Connecticut to Indianapolis without getting opened, just to bring right back. Add a little weight to my luggage, but luckily, when I brought my suitcase back, it was exactly 50 pounds. So I didn't have to pay the overweight fee, which was pretty funny. Like, it was literally 50 on the dot, and the lady laughed and was like, wow, like, that's incredible. Alright, so we got a Cersei's Call, Forsaken Spirit, Gloom Reaper Hag, Grave Pact, Root Meal, Infernal Ritual, Betrayer Torg My Guardian. That's actually really fun. Venerable Drake, Vyric's Embrace, Xeris Will, and a Cersei with Life Drain, Death Touch, and Army Commander. So this was a fun pack to end on. I've actually really wanted a Betrayer Torg My Guardian, so it was nice to get one here, especially in purple with ways that you can kind of make some minions and such. So that's really fun. I'm excited to try a few of these decks out. But yeah, so thank you for tuning in. Worlds was a lot of fun. And like I said, before I tune out, I'm going to show a couple quick things, but I'm going to make a video later on to show all the prizes. But the first thing is, this is the Forge that was won at the end of the storyline. So everyone who participated got one of these foil Necrom Forges. For people who haven't seen, I got my League of Champions promos over the at the event. So there's a League of Champions Forge, as well as I'll show the rest of the Wisps in a second. So this Wisp is probably my favorite thing I actually got from the entire trip. So this actually came from Jerch in the Charge Plated podcast. So it's a little Wisp in a jar, and it transforms into a Cthulhu Oakfather. And on the side, I don't know if you can see it very well on here, but they also did the foiling on the edge. So you have like a green foil on the edge of this. So this came from the Charge Plated podcast in Church. This is one that I'm very happy that he gave me, and I'm looking forward to using that a ton. All right, so here are the League of Champions Spell Sprites and Spell Swarms. So we've got Spell Sprite on one side, and it's full art, and it's not like super red, it's actually more like purpley, which is really cool. And on the back side, we've got the Spell Swarm. So I hope they do more things in this art, but they gave this out to anybody who was in the League of Champions who actually showed up to the event. And then, just to show it out, I'll show the minions, and then I'll show everything else during the next video. So we've got a Wisp with an Oakfather. We've got a Spell Sprite with a Spell Swarm. A Gizmo with a Mega Gizmo. And a Mindless Zombie with a Zombie Brute. So just to show off the art real quick, here's the foil Wisp and Oakfather that was given out for the top 8. Spell Sprite with the Spell Swarm. The Gizmo with the Mega. And then the Mindless Zombie with the Zombie Brute. So I like these minions a lot. Out of the stuff that Stoneblade has made so far, these are probably my favorite. But yeah, so it was really cool to get these minions, and they have the non-foil version with the foil edges that everybody got for participating, and I'll show those off during my next video. But yeah, so it was a lot of fun getting to play, getting to meet everybody, and getting some really cool promos and really cool decks. And it was just a lot of fun being able to just have 3 days of really playing a lot of SolForge with really great people, and just hang out with everybody after the event. It was just something that was an incredible weekend that I will definitely never forget. So to leave everybody, what I'm going to do is show the top 8 deck that I received. Or sorry, top 4 deck that I received. So there's an Alt Art Sunder, which is really cool, and the whole deck is foil, including the Forgeborn. And I happen to get the one Rumble Spark deck that they gave out, so that Rumble's also foil, although the backside isn't. But showing off the deck list, there is a Ronti Heartseeker, a Tortoise Colossus, Stampede, Raging Razortooth, a Nova Elementalist, Lightning Charge, an Alt Art Ice-Lance Mangus, which is really cool, and it's got the World Championship at the bottom, and it says WC at the side. So every World Championship deck was a Sunder with the Alt Art, as well as an Alt Art Ice-Lance Mangus. So this was a really cool thing that they did. Herald of Fury, Chaining Stonefist, Burnout. So that was the deck that came with coming in the top 4 for me. Um, I'm very excited to start trying to play this. I've been trying to avoid playing Rumble Spark lately, just because I've played against it so much. I've been trying to kind of look for counters, look for other ways to play against it. Um, but I definitely have to try this deck. And even though it's not an ideal Sunder in this situation, because it's got deal 2 damage to each enemy creature, play a spell for free, and then play up to 2 spell swarms, I'd rather play it with whatever Forgeborn I use from the Necrom half if I play this with a Necrom Darkheart build. But this was a really cool prize. I actually forgot they were giving these out, so when I was in the middle of my match, Alex walked over, handed it to me, and I was just like, whoa. I actually stopped for a second to look at it. So this was a really cool thing, and the fact that the full card is foil instead of just the border makes it pretty unique, at least as of the foils that have occurred so far. But yeah, so there was a lot of really cool stuff. I'll in the video I go over for the prizing and things like that, I will show this again, show the minions again, and show the playmat that I won, as well as some of the other things like the trophy for coming in first in Worlds. But it was an incredible weekend. Everybody who I met there, thank you so much for making that a very special time for me, and I hope that everyone had as much fun as I did. So I have a lot of optimism for the game moving forward. I just really hope that we could kind of keep up this momentum. And those spoilers that came out for set 3 are really exciting. So there's 2 spoilers on the Discord, and there are Exalted Forgeborn. So I will go over that in another video, kind of talking through it, which will be a lot of fun. But yeah, for now, thank you for hanging out while I opened a couple boosters, talked a little bit about Gen Con and Worlds and some of the events. Like I said, I will be appearing on a few of the different podcasts as well as some of the YouTube channels over this upcoming week to kind of talk about the experience. So I won't go in any more detail right now, but definitely I would recommend checking out some of those other sources as well. So once those come out, I'll definitely post about them. But I'm very excited to kind of speak with a bunch of different groups and kind of talk about the experience. So thank you for tuning in here. It's been really fun spending the last week really just focused on SolForge, and I'm looking forward to playing a bunch more in the near future. So have a good one, guys.